Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from just outside of Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Welcome to all of you that are joining in for the first time, and welcome back to any that are returning. I want to say a very big thank you to all of you who've been so nice and leaving me comments, whether on the YouTube channel or on Ravelry. I really appreciate those comments, whether it's feedback on the projects that I've been working or sharing with you, or just even to say hi. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. You can find me on Instagram as sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as sweetlavender1. We also have a very lovely group on Ravelry, and it's called the Sweet Lavender Knits group. You can find us and come on by, check us out, and feel free to join in. Introduce yourself in the welcome thread, and there's also another thread called Let's Chat, and that's just to chat about anything that you're working on or what you plan to do, any patterns that you've come across that you would like to share, anything really. So this podcast is mainly about knitting, crocheting, sewing, and other crafts as I fancy them. And I really do want to invite you to my knit night. This is my knit night, and that's my way of connecting with other knitters who would enjoy some time to sit down for a little bit of knitting. So let's grab your needles, a favorite project you like to work on, something nice to drink, and let's get started. I, as usual, just have some water in my cup here because it's really hot outside today, and it's a beautiful bright day, and I'm thankful for the natural light that I'm getting right now in recording this podcast, but a little too hot for my liking, and so I'm hiding inside and trying to get a podcast recorded. What else? It's just, have I said it's the 8th of July today. It's Sunday afternoon, and I have quite a bit that I want to share with you, and I'm very excited for it. So let me just take a sip of my water and we'll get started. So on the calendar, we have the Let's Knit KAL that started on April the 15th, and it's going all the way to August the 15th, and it's for the larger knits. We have two threads in our Ravelry group. One is the Finished Objects thread, and the other is the Chatter thread. And I find that I have been chatting quite a bit in the Chatter thread, so it's going to be quite a task for me to eliminate my posts and then draw a winner, because we have two prizes for this KAL, and that is one from the Finished Objects thread and one from the Chatter thread, and they're both going to be drawn at random. So we still have about a month, and yeah, if you feel adventurous, and or if you're 50% or less done on a project like a garment, a larger project, then go for it and join in, and you can bring those whips and work on them in the KAL as well. And feel free to double dip, and yeah, you can find all of the other details on the Ravelry group on the thread. You will find it right on the top in my post. Anyways, so we have two prizes, like I said, and I have some prizes I have some things that I'd like to share with you so that you know what the prizes are. These are the main prizes. Sorry for the noise. These are the main prizes, but of course I will be adding in little trinkets and things like that to go with it. So for the Finished Objects thread, we have these two skeins of Malabrigo Merino worsted, and it is in the colorway called Pollen. There, and I think if I hold it back here, oh, it goes very nicely with my blue t-shirt. It's a very pale yellow, and it is single ply, and there, it's a very nice light yellow, and the colorway is Pollen. So these are two skeins that I picked up at Knitters Frolic in Toronto back in April, I believe. Okay, I'm gonna put that down there, excuse me. And then for the chatter thread, I was going through my stash and I wanted to give something that was quite precious to me, but also along the same weight. So that was worsted, and I found another worsted. This is, it's very soft. I don't know what it is, but it's very, very soft. I'm thinking there's merino in it. And it is hand spun. This is hand spun. I got this set of 3 hanks from Fondant Fiber, and they were hand spun by Deb. And this is it. I don't have a colorway or anything, but it is a lovely blue, and you can see it, and it is about the same weight. You've got a it's a little thin at some spots, but you know, with hand spun you can tell it's a little irregular. I think it'll make a lovely prize, and hopefully whoever wins it will be able to put it to very, very good use. It's very soft. So that's the second prize. That's for the chatter thread. And of course, like I said, I will be adding in other things as well. So that's the first thing. The second, we have the Operation Whip Control, and that is just a way of us trying to get some of our projects off the needles, so we have more project bags and needles to work on other things and cast on more stuff, right? So I am onto my 3rd project. 3 out of the 6 that I have, 2 done, and I'm on my 3rd right now. So I don't have that project to share with you because I've just been stalling and starting it because I've been doing other things, which I will share with you as we go along. I've been casting on everything, guys. Okay, so I just had to tilt the camera slightly because I found myself sitting like at an angle, and that was hurting my back. All right, so yes, that is, there is also a thread for Operation Whip Control, and a lot of you have been getting a lot of projects off the needles, so I'm really, really happy for you, but I feel like I'm lagging, so I've got to like catch up somehow. Well, you know, we just do what we have to do, right? It's not a race at all. It's just the whole point is to have fun with what you're knitting or crocheting or crafting, whatever it be. The third thing that I have to do, and I just realized I have not done it as yet, is we have the July giveaway, and I promised you guys that I would be opening up a thread for that, and I have not done so. So I will do that right after we finish with this podcast. I'm sure I'll remember when I'm playing this back, so I would do it. Will be up by the time you're watching this. July giveaway is just my way of saying thank you to all of my subscribers on YouTube, as well as the members in our Ravelry group. So you've got to be a member and a subscriber, and 1 entry per person. You know, I would put in a prompt. Let's try and think of a prompt. What's your favorite part of the summer? As far as crafting. So what I think I might have asked something along those lines before, but we'll go with that. What's your favorite part about summer? What do you like crafting in the summer? So that would be a prompt, and yeah, go ahead and answer that, and I would just draw at random at the end of July, probably the first week of August, around my podcast time, and pick a winner. And yes, the prize for that would be a pattern of your choice that you have queued on Ravelry, $10 and under, and that's just my way of saying thank you to you. So that's the third thing on the calendar. Now, moving on to finished objects, and I do have something to share with you today. It's, as you would probably have guessed from the last episode if you watch, are my rainbow socks. So here they are, all done on my sock blockers. And I actually washed them this morning and I put them out to dry, and so they are almost dry but not quite. These are, this is a pattern by Cheryl Ham, and the pattern is called Espresso Shortie Socks, and I used it as a recipe basically to knit Shortie socks, and the technique that I learned off of it was the Afterthought Heel. So just to show you what it is, the yarn is by Regia, and I believe I gave you the details of the yarn on my last episode, or else you'll find it on the Ravelry group. It is a colorway number, not a colorway. So yes, obviously I don't remember it, but yeah. Okay, so I did a little short cuff, about 10 rows of ribbing, 2x2 ribbing, and then you just knit like a whole tube of stocking neck basically, and I knit these 2 at a time, and then I did a toe decrease, a regular decrease on the toe. The highlighted green yarn is from Little French Meadow. And it was a mini skein that I got, and that's what I used for the heels and the toes. The heels, then I come back and I pick them up. Whoops. I picked them up and I did about an inch of just regular, just knitting in the round. And then I did a regular toe decrease and finished it off with Kitchener stitching at the ends of the toes and the heels. Heels and toes. And that's it. They are so simple to do, and I highly recommend you to try them out. The Afterthought Heel, it is definitely a technique that I will be using over because it is fun, especially if you've got striping, self-striping yarn, or you have yarn that has a nice pattern like some of the Regia or even the Berger de France, my Gumi 50s. I could just knit like a tube, and then it won't break the pattern for the heel like you would with a traditional heel flap gusset, heel flap, heel turn, and gusset. And yeah, so I highly recommend trying out that technique. These are my finished objects for today, but I mean, it's just one pair of socks, but it is something. And I do have another pair. Moving on to my works in progress, I have another sock that I finished, but I like to show them as a pair rather than, you know, individually. But just basically I'll show you what it is. It's this humongous sock here and it's the one I'm knitting for my son. I did a eye of partridge heel, and this one I did do the heel flap, heel turn, and gusset, and you can see that's what that is, the heel flap, then the heel turn part of it, and the gusset is picking up the stitches. And I know that I do not enjoy doing this heel because I find it 3 steps as opposed to, you could call it 1 or maybe 2, with the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is short row heel basically, and it's very similar to the German short row heel, or there are several of them, but and I find it a lot easier. I don't have to think, like I don't have to memorize it or know exactly what I'm to do next. With the heel flap, I'm fine. I can go ahead and do the heel flap, but the heel turn part, I almost always have to look. Depending on the number of stitches, I can never remember how to do it. And then when I see the pattern, of course, it clicks in very quickly. But yeah. So I'm on to my, and I'm knitting these, I meant to do them concurrently, but I didn't want to break my yarn ball, yarn cake. So I am just doing them one after the other, and I don't really suffer second sock syndrome. I just tell myself I have to get it done, and you know, I need a pair of socks. I can't wear just one. These are not for me, these are for my son. Here it is. So I'm off on the next one, and I've just started. It's this way. On the ribbing, and I'm doing a 1x1 ribbing, which I really enjoy. I like the look of it, although I find it's not as substantial as the 2x2 ribbing. I think it holds on to your leg a lot better, the 2x2. But I have to say, I really like this. Now, I've tried for this cast on, I'm going to show you the top view here, is the Chinese Waitress cast on. And this was suggested to me by one of my viewers, Patricia, and I love the look of this cast on, although I am still getting used to the steps involved in doing the cast on, so I have to refer to it just before I start, and then I'm on a roll. The good part about this cast on is there is no yarn wastage like with the long tail cast on, which is what I generally use. I always overestimate the yarn, and so I'm left with a little too much, and then, you know, you don't want to waste yarn. I mean, a little bit, of course it doesn't matter, but if you don't have to, then you don't need to, right? But I love how this looks. It has such a clean look to it. So if you haven't tried it, do try the Chinese Waitress cast on, and it looks very nice. It's got a very nice firm top to it, as well as, like, from the side view, it does look very nice, doesn't it? There. And the yarn is a Riverside Studio, and it is on their Super Sock base, and it's called Dusk. So there, and this is their logo. Whoops, this way. This is their logo. It is Superwash Merino Nylon 80/20, and it's an 8-ply yarn, and it was 100 grams, although this is all I've left with, so hopefully it'll be enough for me to complete that sock, or else he's gonna have a different foot at the end. I've already told him that. I said, I'm not ripping it out and trying to fix it. You're just gonna have 2 colors on your socks, and he's fine with that. So that's my first work in progress. And then I hope I've said everything to you about it. And I'm calling them my Gray Skies socks. The needle size that I use for my socks is always 2.25. Although I have to say, and I didn't really, mean to talk to you about it, but I realized that my socks are now coming a little loose on the blocker. And that's just recently, over the last 2 or 3 pairs, I've noticed that they are a little loose on the blocker, although my stitch count has not changed, nor my needle size. So the only explanation to that is that my gauge has changed. And I'm thinking that I'm probably knitting a little looser. I don't know if it's because I'm a little more relaxed maybe, or what it is. Whatever it is, my gauge has loosened up, and so I'm thinking maybe I should try and go down to 2 millimeter and see if that makes it drastically different. But I'm gonna try that on a pair of Shortie socks that I will do sometime later. The second work in progress, you have all these stitch markers on, 25 stitch markers to be precise. You start off with a crochet cast on, which is new to me. I mean, I've tried it a few times, I believe, when I was trying to do a provisional cast on at some point. But this one calls for the crochet cast on a few times in the pattern. So it's good practice for that. And the yarn is this lovely, very, very soft. I can't even, you know, saying very a few times is not enough. You've got to say it a lot more. It's really, really soft, okay? It is the Shibui Birch yarn, and I believe the colorway is Deep Plum. I'm not sure, but it is a deep plum color. I will put it up on the screen. And here is my lovely cake of yarn. Oh, actually, the ball band is in there, but do I want to take it out? Oh, the color is velvet. The color is velvet, and here is the yarn. It's looking brown, but it is plum. It is deep plum. Maybe you'll catch a little bit of that plum color there. And these are 50-gram balls. It is, they call it fingering, but it's a very light fingering. And I'm using a 3.75, my Leica needles that I picked up, also at the Knitter's Frolic. The second yarn is mohair. It's kid mohair and silk, and that is by Silk Whisper, and it's 25 grams and 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. And the 25 grams, 220 yards of it, and that's the color. I don't believe it has a colorway. I don't see anything on it. It's by Sweater Knits. And this is also one of my purchases at the Frolic. Everything is Frolic actually, except for the project bag in this. So this is it, and you can see that lovely halo of the mohair, and it's really nice. It's very, very nice and soft, and I cannot put this project down. Seriously, I cannot. It's lovely. Now these gaping holes in here are meant to be there, and I've just come onto my second right now. And okay, so the construction of this shawl is that you use a crochet cast on and cast on however many stitches are in the pattern. It's a free pattern, you can check it out, and you put on 25 stitch markers at different intervals, and you're working using those stitch markers. You're going to be working short rows and building up on the shawl. That's basically how it's going. You're working the short rows back and forth along the length of the shawl, while also increasing along this short edge of the shawl. So there are a few components that are going on all at the same time, and then you've also got to keep count of the ridges, and at several different intervals you've got to make these slits in your shawl. The pattern is, there isn't a lot of pattern support, and the designer tells you that up front, that the pattern was not intended, was not written in English, and so the translation of it is, you know, there's a little bit of room for interpretation, really, which is okay for me. Like, so far I haven't come across anything that I could not understand once I read it, and there are charts that you can follow as well for the pattern, or you could even just, you know, you understand what you're doing. It's the number of stitches that you need to keep count of, basically, and you can do that with the stitch markers. So that is the second project, and I'm loving it, really. Like I say, I can't put it down. This is my cast on because I finished my Sorrento shawl, but because I've been working so much on this shawl, I have not touched my third work in progress, you know, for my whip, Operation Whip Control. So I do feel a little bad about it, but then, hey, you know, it's about enjoying the process, which I am. So there. Now the third work in progress is another impulsive pattern purchase, as well as cast on. I had to cast it on right away. And it is a lovely pattern. I'll put it up here. It's the Opel Sock Bunny by Susan B. Anderson. She had a sale recently on this pattern, and I just looked at it and grabbed it right away, just because as if you are a long-time viewer, you would have heard me say that I have we're expecting a few babies in the family over fall, and I am looking out for all kinds of baby knits, and this is going to be a lovely little gift for one of my nieces who's to arrive in September. So I am knitting this pattern, and I am loving it. This is my first Susan B. Anderson pattern, and I've heard so much about her patterns being so thorough and easy to follow and comprehensive, and really, like, she is very detailed in her writing, and very detailed, but at the same time to the point, which makes it very easy to follow, and that's what I like. Here I am. So I wanted to do this out of scrap, not leftover yarn that I have from different projects, and so I picked these two, and this is, let me try and get it looking nicer there. This is the Strawberry Fields Forever yarn from Craft House Magic, Ellie's Etsy shop, and I knit the Buttercup Socks, which is her pattern, in this, I believe, and this is the leftover of that, so I'm using that, as well as some leftover of this, which is from my Color Affection shawl that I did earlier this year, and it is Malabrigo, it's not Malabrigo, it's Madeline Tosh Merino, and it is in the colorway called Coquette de, and I think they go well together. So I'm just trying to make the most of this, and I did like a striping for the face. There's very little embroidery on this pattern, which I'm very thankful for, because my embroidery skills are not there yet. So I've done this little face here, and this is the back of the head where I started, and like you can see, when I started off, I didn't really know where the ears were going to be placed. I was hoping that this would be the bottom of the head, and really I should have done that when I was placing the yarn, but anyways, I didn't. I was just following the pattern. So this is what happens sometimes when you don't use your, you know, you don't think it a little through. So while you're knitting and you come up to the spot where the ears should go, they tell you to put in, or the pattern tells you to put in scrap yarn, and that's the same technique I had used for the Afterthought heels on my rainbow socks. So it was very handy because I was repeating that technique again, and you know, getting some practice in it, but being able to do it without getting all worried about what that would be. So 2 spots, very small spots, that you're putting in just a few stitches for the ears, and then you continue and you close in your head. It's a knit as you go kind of a project, so it's almost seamless, and she even gets you to weave in the ends as you go, so it's really nice, and it, you know, like there aren't a million ends to weave in at the end. I've also been using the method of weaving in ends as you go, and it's a technique I found off of a YouTube video. If I find the video, I will put it down as a link in the description. You can, description box below, you can find it. And I like to use that technique even when I'm knitting my socks or anything at all. It's a nice way to hide your ends in for about an inch or a half, and then you just snip it off and it holds it in place. So it's weaving in the ends as you go. I've done 1 year, as you can see, and I've just put in markers for the places where you have to increase them, and I'm on to the second. So I'm really enjoying this too. I'm hoping to do the body in pink and do the legs and hands, the feet and the hands in this colorway, because I don't have too much of this colorway and I do want to finish it up. But at the same time, I've got a little bit more of this where I could use into something else that I have plans for. I'll let you know. So that's that. And then what else? Oh, and I'm knitting this on my sock needles, which are 2.25 Chiagos. The pattern asks you to use DPNs, and I did try, well, I did start off with DPNs, but I found that I wasn't remembering and putting it onto a DPN holder, so every time I put it into my bag and picked it up, a few stitches fell off, and it was a little annoying. So after the third time, I just switched over to Magic Loop, and that's working out very well for me. All right, moving on to acquisitions. And first I want to share with you this bag, the project bag that I'm housing the Opel sock bunny in. And it is also my acquisition for this week. Isn't that beautiful? It is a lovely project bag that I got from Paula, who's got a lovely Etsy shop called Eva Faith. And let me just reach in here and grab her card. There. And her Etsy shop is evafaith.etsy.com. Do check out the shop. She has beautiful, beautiful handmade project bags, and I could not resist this little patchwork, is it? Of it's called the Pink Flowers and Bees Flower Garden project bag. It is beautiful. I'm not sure what the different fabrics are. I don't know if it's Tilda or not, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful. And look at the finishing touches. Like, look at these little pulls. They're like little flowers with a little button there, and it's really cute. And here, I think it's called Go Grain or Row Grain. I'm not sure what, but it's really nice. It's got this little bird and leaf motif to it, and a lovely button at the back that says Eva Faith. It's beautiful, very, very beautiful, Paula. And do check out her Etsy shop. And if you are in the UK, you lucky guys, because it's a pretty penny for me with the conversion, or else I would be buying all of them. Seriously, they are so beautiful. But lovely bag. And I have the bunny housed in here, and every time I pick it up, I get just so happy, because all apart from the Mad Tosh in here, the rest of it is all from the UK. The yarn and the bag, which is really nice. That is the first thing. And then the second thing was quite a surprise. I mean, I knew it was coming, but then when it did come, it was really surprising. And I have not opened it because I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'll try not to make a lot of noise. But I won a prize on Ellie from Craft House Magic on her podcast. She had a knit along for her Buttercup Socks. And I was picked at random. So I thank you very much, Ellie. I am really thrilled about the prizes. This is probably just the second time I've ever won something, so it's very, very exciting for me. This is what I've won, and the bag is very crinkly, so I'll just take it out of the bag to show you. So I had already seen it on her podcast when she showed it off, that this is a lovely skein of yarn from Down Sheepy Lane. And I love the colors. Pinks are my colors, and mauves, and it's got everything in it. And it's called Fig Jam, the colorway, and it's on the Comfy Sock base, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. Love it, love it. Thank you very, very much. But on top of that, there's more stuff. So there's this little pink package. Let me open that up. Ooh, some candy and some tea bag. Oh, very nice. And this little tiny button from Down Sheepy Lane. That's very nice. Thank you very, very much. I've never tried this. Frutella Duo Stick. I've never tried it. Thank you very much. And there is Debbie's card from Down Sheepy Lane. And a lovely Twinings chocolate coconut tea, green tea. Never tried this either. Thank you very much. I feel a little spoiled. Oh my gosh. And another package. And there's more tea in here. And a lovely pin also from Ellie that I have to show off. Sorry guys for all the noise. Okay, and there's a lovely pin from Ellie as well that says Craft House Magic, and that's her logo. Thank you very, very much, Ellie. And love all this tea that I'm getting in here. It's beautiful. And I'm sure it'll taste nice as well. So that's it, guys. That is all my content as far as the knitting part of this podcast. I thank you for watching, and I am going to be spending a few more minutes just chatting on what I've been up to over the last 2 weeks, otherwise, and so if you want to stick around for that. If not, I will catch you the next time. Yes, so it has been a very, very hot summer so far, and I do not enjoy extreme temperatures, cold or hot, and so I've been indoors. It's been pretty busy at work as well, but I've been taking a different train in the mornings, which is a lot longer. You probably wonder why. I mean, I don't have to. It's just I don't need to get to work as early as I was before, so I have a little more time. And I thought since I need to be able to leave the house just to keep everything going at a routine. I still leave the house at the same time, but then I catch a train that takes 40 minutes as opposed to 20. And it gives me more knitting time in the morning, so I enjoy that. It's an all stops train, meaning it stops at every station from here all the way down to where I need to go. And yeah, so it takes a little longer. I love that I'm getting more time in the morning to knit because it really relaxes me, and you know, it probably has something to do with my gauge as well, and that's why the gauge has shifted a little bit. But I've been able to work more on different projects in the day, and so I've been touching more projects and even if it's just a little bit here and there, it's so that I enjoy more of the projects all at once rather than trying to finish them in blocks as much as possible. All of which is fine. I mean, you know, we do whatever we need to do, and I don't know why that crease is there. Anyways, yeah, so that's what's been happening, and the kids are on vacation, summer vacation, so they're at home, and they've been busy with different activities. My youngest son, who's 9 years old now, is quite crafty and very creative as well, and he's been asking for a while that he wanted to join up in an art class, which I was able to get him into for the summer. So he'll be starting that on next Saturday, so he's extremely excited for that, and I am excited for him too. It's nice that the kids are being able to express themselves in different crafts and arts, and I like that. And as far as gardening, I have to say I've not been quite there in the garden as much, just because it's been extremely hot, and so when I get home I don't want to be I'm very tired at the end of the day, and I just don't want to be out in the heat anymore. My husband's been very nice in watering the garden, so everything's up and looking lush and green and everything, but I've just not had a lot of time in the garden. And so it was quite a challenge for me to find some flowers for my vase today. And so I have an echinacea that looks like it's dying, but no, that is how that echinacea looks. And I have some wildflowers in there. So for those of you who are interested, you probably recognize what those are. And yes, and I've just been excited about a lot of things and trying to just find a little more time in my day to be able to do a little bit more. One thing I am looking out for, and I wanted to share this on the podcast because I know a lot of you do sew, is that I need a sewing machine. And I have been using a sewing machine that my mom, it is my mom's, and you know, she's borrowed it back to work on something, and I have another one, but apparently it needs repair, and the parts are just not worth spending the money on. And then I have my industrial sewing machine, which is not very handy. If I want to move it around, I can't. It's too heavy and it's just like stuck in one place, and it's my son's room, so I do not intend on, I don't know, it just seems like a chore to sit down and work on it. So I am on the market just looking out for a sewing machine that is very user-friendly, and I know different you know, brands out there. I've used Singer in the past, I've used Brother, my mom used to own a PAF long time ago, and that is about the best sewing machine that I know of so far, because she never had any trouble with it all the years that she used it, and she used it for a very long time. We don't have a PAF dealer as far as I know in Canada, but I've heard a lot of people speak about the Janome. I've never owned a Janome. I've never used one, so I don't know. But I'm looking out for a sewing machine. So just let me know what you use and why you like your sewing machine, maybe, and and you know, anything that you do not like about it as well. So that'll give me an idea as to what to shop for. So yes, that's what I've been up to. I have so much to do over the next 2 weeks, and I'm hoping to get some as much done as I can, while also enjoying the whole process of it, and that's what it's all about, right? So that brings me to the end of this podcast. Thank you very much for watching, for putting up with it, it's been a long one today, and I really did have a lot to share, and I wanted to share all of it with all of you. So thank you for spending the time with me. I hope you got some knitting done or crafting done, and I hope you are enjoying the weather as well, wherever you are, being cozy if you're in the southern hemisphere, and we are definitely headway right into summer, and I'm hoping it cools down just a tad bit. So thank you very much once again for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed what you were working on, and hope we'll meet again and join in for another knit night with me. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy knitting. Bye bye.